Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Tuesday, the 11th of July. I'm joined by a full squad this morning. Firstly, Euan Robertson. How are we doing, Euan?
Good, mate. Just finishing my breakfast off there, but got it done in time before you asked my question, so I'm all well.
Lovely. What were you consuming there?
I was going to show you, but then I don't know if I was brand advertising, so it was just a little breakfast bar, to be honest.
Right, okay.
other brands are available. I wouldn't want to get us in commercial trouble.
Yeah, we may sort out a sponsor, right enough. Stevie also joins us. How are we getting on, Stevie?
Good morning, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Good, thanks. The weather is absolutely grim here this morning. It is torrential rain, so it is nasty. But that aside, all good, mate. All good. How was your trip?
Absolutely brilliant. I was touching this with Joshua yesterday. The Bangkok Bears did a sterling job putting on ORSA. Brilliant convention. Great to interact with all the Bears from across the world and also interact with the legends as well. So, it was superb. If you've never been to Bangkok or Thailand, I'd recommend you go. I'm itching to get back myself, to be honest. I don't think a week is long enough. But the next year's convention is going to be on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. So I'm sure that's going to be a fantastic event as well. But got back yesterday. Right onto the show. I think I arrived back an hour and a half, and then we're on the show with Joshua. So the jet lag set in last night. I was asleep for about 13 hours, but I'm wide awake this morning and ready to rock and roll. So to talk all things Rangers. Before we do that,
when you say you're itching to get back, that isn't a literal thing, Derek.
No, absolutely not. Folk were mentioning why I've came back as white as I was when I left, but that's mission accomplished for me. I get sunburned in the shade, so Factor 50 was getting applied all over. So it's quite a. You talk about torrential rain there, Steve. It was torrential over there at points at some interludes, but it's warm rain. It's not like back home, and it's torrential for a good half an hour, and then you're bone dry once again. But cracking part of the world. And as Libero says, I was in Chiang Rai this year. Thailand is cool. It absolutely is. Right, let's talk Rangers, guys. And before we do that, just some sad news that broke yesterday. Gutted to hear that former Rangers first-team coach Tommy Muller-Nielsen has passed away at just 61 years of age. Tommy was a brilliant guy. As a boyhood Rangers fan, Kai Johansson, incidentally, got him into supporting Rangers from a young age. He was invited over by Walter, who got pally with his father, Richard Muller-Nielsen, who managed the Denmark side to the European Championships in 1992. And then Walter brought him onto his coaching staff permanently. He then worked under Dick Advocaat as well, and it helped Rangers win 5 trophies in 2 seasons before joining Ebbe Skovdahl at Aberdeen. He was a pleasure to deal with. I mean, I spoke to him a couple of years ago for a piece about his time at Rangers, and he also helped me recently with discussing his memories of Jimmy Bell and the anniversary of his passing. So it came as a bit of a shock yesterday hearing of his untimely death. Stevie, he was a proper Rangers man, Tommy, a gentleman, and a sad loss.
Yeah, by all accounts, a lovely man. 61 is no age at all. So it's really sad news for the club. Obviously played a part in 9 in a row and helped coach a team during that. I remember at the time, there was a bit of a clamour, Derek, because Europe wasn't going so well. So it was like, bring in a European coach, let's get some influence and stuff like that. And Tommy was the first real kind of step towards that, a bridge towards Dick Advocaat, if you like, in a sense. But by all means, a lovely guy, and I don't think there's anybody ever had a bad word to say about him. So it's a really sad loss for his friends and family, and condolences to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone from the Rangers Review sends condolences to Tommy's friends and family as well. Really sad news yesterday. Moving on from that, I wanted to discuss, of course, a bit of transfer news. Euan, apparently, is a trio of clubs monitoring Antonio Colak, interested in looking to prize away the Croatian from Rangers. Werder Bremen, as we know, have been credited but with an interest in him. Apparently, Serie B sides in Italy, Parma and Pisa, are also keen on Antonio Colak. I've seen rumoured figures of £2 million bandied about. Seen a bit of a reaction on social media yesterday saying that that's not enough, and Colak is worth a lot more than that. Colak, for you, would you be surprised to see him in the squad for next season, or is the writing on the wall, would you say?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go out this summer. I don't think that's any reflection on Anthony, on him as a player, or by all accounts he's an incredible professional as well, which obviously hasn't been the case with every Rangers striker in recent seasons. But he keeps himself in unbelievable shape. He's very popular in the dressing room by all regards. His scoring record was really good last season. When he played, obviously he kind of missed out for a while. But I just don't think he fits into Michael Beale's plan, really. And I think every indication is that if Rangers maybe want to go and bring in 2-3 more players in the window, that they'll have to look to move a couple of players out, and if they can get in the region of what they paid for Colak last summer, then I think he'll leave the club. I think it's as simple as that. I think Michael Beale, if Colak goes, then another striker might come in, and I think the other striker might be a better age profile. I think he might be a better fit to what Michael Beale wants to do. So I think it's just sensible business if he does go out. But if an offer doesn't come in that Rangers deem suitable, then he won't go out. I don't think there's any rush to get him out the door as such, but I think he's a player who will move on this summer.
£2 million, Stevie, would you be happy with that?
I don't know if I would be happy with it. In an ideal world, you'd want 3 or 4, wouldn't you? But the problem is that had Antonio Colak had the finish that he had at the start, then we might be looking at a more kind of valuable player. But the fact is, he's not really played in 6 months because of injury problems, etc. He had a couple of fleeting appearances, maybe Easter Road and stuff. But in terms of clubs maybe looking in at him, I'm not sure that that's done him much favours or done us much favours, really. But I'm with you, and if that money comes in, most likely I think Rangers will look to deal, because Rangers will have aspirations rather in the transfer market to go and get maybe 2 or 3 more in, and I think that'll kind of round off our business. But in order to do that, I think that a few have got to move on. Now, I was looking at the squad yesterday, and our squad's quite sizable, Derek. I think you could lose 10 from that and not really blink an eye. We've spoke about this before a wee bit, when you talk about the boys on the fringes, the likes of your Lewis Mayo and Ben Williamson, Josh McPake, stuff like that, and then you start to venture into the actual squad, Matondo, Colak, these guys, John McLaughlin, maybe the guys that are on the periphery of the actual first team squad as such. If we're wanting to get down to the kind of numbers that Michael Beale looks at, and still bring in 2 or 3 more, then I think there's a good, easy 10 players that we could be looking to shift on. And unfortunately for Antonio Colak, he might just fit into the category of needing to move bodies on, and potentially, as Euan pointed out, there might be a better profile of player for Michael Beale that he fancies bringing in. As Euan says as well, I don't think it's a reflection on him as a player. I think he's a good finisher. He's a good all-round kind of forward type. Maybe doesn't have the pace that others have, but he brings, something to every team, and he'll score goals where he goes. So, if somebody comes with good hard cash for him, I'm not sure will be too difficult to deal with. But it's one of those what ifs. If he hadn't got injured, would he have hit 30 goals? I think he probably would have. So, but as we spoke about before, I think he falls into the category of one that could be moved on.
Yeah, lots of comments coming in with regards to that. Let's get to a few of them. Dave Fulton says, I like Tony Goals, 2 million gets their money back, great. If there is a bidding war, even better. Shame he doesn't suit Michael Beale's preferred style, as he'll score goals. Listen, I'm a fan of Antonio Colak. I think he's got a place in that squad. But
let's put something out there, though. Euan, Derek, I'll put this to you guys.
Yeah.
You sold Tony Goals for £2 million and brought Danilo in for the best part of 3.5. Would you do that business?
Yeah.
I'd like to know a lot. I know Danilo he's done well at Feyenoord, but it's one of those ones. Colak has shown he'll guarantee. I think he'll guarantee you 20 goals next season. if he was to stick around. But will Danilo guarantee you that, do you think?
Well,
I just look at his age. He's only 24, Danilo, isn't he? Colak's 29, 30. So I think that just in terms of kind of building a squad and obviously, keep talking about the player trading model, isn't it? The hope that Danilo would come here and be really good, and then you could sell him on in a few years for for a profit. I do agree with Colak. I mean, I don't. That's what I say. I don't think there's any rush to get him out the door. If a Danilo deal wasn't going to happen, then you'd be quite happy to keep Colak there because he will score goals, especially against the smaller teams. And you've got to remember as well, he scored the goal that got Rangers in the Champions League last season. So I think he's done well in his first season. The injury obviously disrupted that. So there's, like Stevie said, there's that kind of case of what if. But I just think just for the age profile and what Michael Beale wants to do, because ultimately you've got to back the manager. If you can bring in who the manager wants, and you've got to try and do that. So yeah, I would definitely do that deal.
Yeah, that's an interesting viewpoint, actually. Listen, I'll be speaking to an Eredivisie expert at some point this week, folks, just to get a bit of more of an insight into Danilo. He's certainly one that Rangers are keen on. It was interesting that he liked a tweet recently. It sparked a bit of attention when someone posted, "We want Danilo. Danilo wants us. Get it done, Rangers." I think he's since unliked said tweet. Is that the come and get me, please, Stevie, do you think?
Not really, because most of these guys probably just have an agent that does their social media. So, if it is him, he maybe doesn't even understand what he's liking in that. So I don't read too much into all this, you'd like to think so. You'd like to think if there was serious interest, he might push it and stuff like that. But I'm sure he's aware that Rangers are sniffing about. It was interesting when we spoke to Jack Butland last week. He said, that he'd been aware of Rangers' interest for years, kind of in the background and stuff like that. And it was something that he was warming to, and he always kind of kept an eye on it. So players are aware of what's kind of going on around them, I suppose. So, I tend not to read too much into it as such. Jose Cifuentes likes was interesting to say the least. So, it is what it is, really. Just I would hope. What I would say is, though, see the likes of Danilo and Cifuentes, that suddenly turns a good window into a really, really good window. I think Danilo is an exciting, explosive kind of talent. Cifuentes, I think, is an exciting, hard, physical midfielder that we might kind of lack at the moment, box-to-box type. That's a different kind of dynamic and profile. I think these two, make it a really, really good window. Get a wee centre half in there along the way as well. And I think that Michael Beale's done an extremely, extremely good summer. But there's a lot more to be done, as we said before, on terms of going in and out. So I think there's a wee bit more excitement to come. Antonio Colak might be someone that features in that somewhere.
Yeah, right. Lots of comments coming. I'm going to try and get to a few of them here. Dean Bailey, says, I like him on Colak. He's a good goal scorer. I would say 3 million for him at least. He'll score goals wherever he goes. Stuart Stephen also agrees on Colak. Proven goal scorer, especially domestically. I'd definitely keep him around. And Andrew Smith raises a point. I don't think Colak's all-round game's good enough for what Rangers play style needs. Let's move on to one or two more comments that are coming in. Firstly, I'll address this from Charleston, aimed at you, Stevie. If Seneca could implant our Stevie with some black hair, and if that smell he's got, he would be the spitting image of Jockey Wilson. What a legend he was. Darts extraordinaire. World champion, of course, at darts. Jockey Wilson, have you had that levelled at you before, Stevie?
No, I've had lots levelled at me before, Derek, but not Jockey Wilson. So, no, I can't say. What was he, early 70s, late 70s, 80s kind of style? That's before my time. So,
yeah.
No, I'm a fan of Bullseye, though. So, and anything that gets the old dome sorted out, I'm on for. So, yeah.
Yeah, what a Scottish legend, Jockey Wilson, back in the day. Very much thanks to Fruit Pastel God for the lovely kind donation. He raises an interesting point here. Sorry, Stevie, for blocking out your face here. It's a bit of a bit of a read this. He says, need to watch who we ship out as African Nations Cup 2024. Sima, Sakala and Dessers away from January the 13th to February the 11th, missing potentially 3 games, St Mirren, Livy and Aberdeen. Also, he's looking for an update on Sterling's injury. Well, come to you, Euan. Firstly, we'll touch on Dujon Sterling. There was some murmurings on social media that he had suffered a serious injury, but that is not the case, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's not the case. You've always got to be wary of what you read in social media and don't read too much into it. I mean, he didn't fly out with the team to Germany. He's got a calf problem. It's definitely not as serious as an ACL. So I think the hope is that he'll be back sooner rather than later. So yeah, it's not an ACL.
Yeah, and that point about the African Cup of Nations, that's an interesting point, Stevie. It's not one that I was actually thought about, but potentially Rangers losing a number of key players for that, a key point in the season it would be as well.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, but...
Is it across the bridge when we come to it sort of thing, do you think?
Of course it is. Like, it's, you know what I mean? By then, we'll be 20 points clear anyway, so... you know what I mean? Like, you just can sort of get by from it and stuff like that. But nah, like, in all seriousness, of course it's an issue, but that's why you have a squad. You know, currently we've got 35-odd players, so if we can't handle 3 not being there, then we'd be as well chucking it. But that's where Yanis Hadji comes in. You know, the likes of, you know, Yanis, Cifuentes, possibly, if he comes in, Cantwell, you know, there's Dowell. The squad's there. You know what I mean? You might be a wee bit short up front, possibly, but Kamar Roof, you know, potentially Kamar Roof's in full training now, and by all means looking good. So he's said to be pain free, he's said to be enjoying his training. So, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, a fit Kamar Roof's pushing for a first team place, no matter who's in there. If you've got Danilo, you know, Dessers, maybe Kamar Roof, that's an exciting 3. Like, all of them are going to be pushing, all of them are going to be pressing on as well. Suddenly, you might actually get the 2 up front that Michael Beale talked about. Then you've got, you know, possibly the likes of Lammers, Hadji, Dowell, Cantwell, Raskin, Cifuentes. Like, all of a sudden, Rangers are looking pretty strong. So, if we can't survive, you know, a couple of weeks, who was it? St Mirren, Livy and Aberdeen? You know, if we can't survive these players not being there, I'll worry about that when it comes round. But we certainly are building a squad that's, you know, that's strong enough to cope without 2 or 3 players for a couple of games. You know, that might be naive, and this becomes a meme in February when it all comes crashing down. But surely, you know, we should be able to survive that. But listen, I think for these type of things, we're on the right track. We're certainly building properly for where we want to go.
Yeah,
just on Dessers, he hasn't even been in the Nigeria squad recently, so he's not played for them in the last few games. So could be a case that he's not even involved there. So
interesting. Yeah. Okay, at this point on the conjuncture, I'll just discuss our live show that's taking place at the end of the month, folks. Just before I forget, on the 28th of July, myself, Stevie, will be joined by Joshua and Johnny, as well as an extra special guest at New Edmiston House, as we take the morning briefing on the road. Our very first live event on the Friday, the 28th of July. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. Tickets are still available for that £21.50. That includes the booking fee, and I've popped in the all-important link in the description box. So go and click that and sign up if you want to attend. Really looking forward to it, Stevie. Should be a good night. Yeah,
it should be. Look, it's a lot of fun. And, you know, the chance to play New Edmiston House. It helps support the Rangers Review and what they're doing commercially with the club. So all of these things are, you know, a positive. And the chance, as I said, the chance just to play New Edmiston House, to meet the Rangers Review followers and all that kind of stuff will be good fun. So, night before Hoffenheim as well, or night before Hoffenheim.
Yeah.
So we should have a lot to discuss. Pre-season will be well underway. Hopefully, maybe a signing or 2 more, as well as kind of go over the summer so far, and then obviously very special guest. So that's all, it's going to be a good night and hope to see as many people as possible. So I'm really looking forward to it, Derek. We'll have a laugh anyway, especially at Johnny's expense. So it's worth coming along for that, just to be able to kind of have a laugh at that. And we'll maybe go through some of the best and funniest comments we've had from the messages as well. There's a few good ones in there, Derek.
Yeah, there certainly is. World's Greatest DJ says pies and bovrils being served. Not sure, but I'm sure I can put that request in to get a few pies and bovrils sorted. Ian Ross says, will you be streaming the live show on YouTube? Don't believe so, Ian. I need to...
I've got a job to go to. There'll be no live show.
I can't imagine that being the case, to be honest with you. But really looking forward to it. Aldo's going to be there, so great. Well, it'll be great to see you, Aldo, and the many others that are coming along as well. It'll be great to see you all in person at that event. Right, let's get back to the football. Of course, Kieran Dowell is one of the 6 players who have signed for Rangers. He spoke last week at the media day. It was embargoed, so it came out yesterday, and some interesting points from him. I'll just read a few of the main points when he was asked. He says, are you excited about the move? He says, it means a lot to me. When I first met the manager, he told me it was a new challenge, and he really sold it to me, so I'm really excited. The intensity up here will be unlike anything I've seen in the English Championship, and that's a big reason I wanted to come. He was asked, what will you bring? The first thing is to work as hard as you can in the pitch and training ground to allow your talent to come through. I'm a creative player, and I feel I can help the team by scoring and creating goals. He was then asked, what advice did Todd Cantwell give you? Of course, played alongside him at Norwich. Says he's had an amazing start. When I first got in contact with the manager, I was straight on the phone to Todd. I was asking him how he's found it so far, and he was raving about it. He said it's something different, but it's something that he's really enjoyed. I just like the manager. Todd really sold it to me as well. He was also asked about how important was Michael Beale's faith in you. Massive. That was another big influence behind the reason why I came here. Obviously, I was out of contract in the summer. He got in touch with me early doors. I really took notice of that and made up my mind really pretty quickly. A lot of managers reach out like that, but the enthusiasm he had for me coming to the club and his plans for me were the deciding factors. And he was also asked, why do you view the spotlight at Rangers as an attraction? That's the job that we're in. If you don't embrace it, then you'll fall by the wayside. Unless you embrace it when you shouldn't be in the game. This is one of the pinnacles of the intensity, and I've seen that from the fans. I saw it in the last home game of the season with the reception they gave the lads that were leaving. There was nothing really on the game, but the reception they gave the lads was unbelievable. He was also asked about, did you keep an eye on Scottish football during your time in England? Obviously, the European games, and from knowing Lunny as well, that was a massive moment for him in the semi-final. And I've kept an eye on the bigger games as well. Obviously, the old firms. I've known a few Rangers fans from other clubs, so they've always been talking about it. I was knocking around with Kenny McLean and Billy Gilmore, so you pick things up. And then he was asked as well, what can the Rangers fans expect? I'm a creative player. I like to play forward, take risks on the ball, take a pop at goal, and try to slide someone through. I like to try and create goals for the team. You spoke to him, Euan. He speaks well, Kieran. I've watched him a number of times when he was at Wigan Athletic back in the day. He was always a player that impressed me. He speaks very well. Also, good to hear that he was speaking about Todd Cantwell, who's obviously loving his time at the club as well. This could be a very astute signing, touch wood, if he steers clear of injury.
Yeah, no, he was asked. I think it was Stevie actually asking about his injury situation. I think that's really the first time he's had a lengthy layoff in his career, and he says he was, close to coming back at the end of last season. And the only positive injury not coming back towards the end of last season was that he's been fully fit all summer and raring to go for Rangers. So that's definitely a positive. I think he spoke very well. He was very honest and open. He dodged a ridiculous question at the end as well.
Yeah, what was that all about? Someone asked him about someone was getting at Chris Sutton or something. It was just bonkers.
It was to do with the kind of Sutton Todd Cantwell Twitter beef.
Yeah, bananas.
Just ridiculous to even ask that. Dowell didn't know what was going on, to be honest. But anyway, he spoke really, really well. What was interesting, he talked about what position he can play. He said he can play, as a number 8, he can play as number 10, he can play deeper, probably in a double pivot. So he can also play off the right as well. So it just shows how much he fits into kind of Beale's preference to bring in hybrid players that can form a number of roles. So I think he'll be a really useful player. He might not be a starter every week, But I think he'll be a really, really important player. If he can stay fit. I think he's a quality player as well. He's played English Premiership. He's Premier League. Sorry, he's in England under 21 international back in the day. So I think he's got really good pedigree.
Yeah.
See, for us old kind of Jockey Wilson guys, what is a double pivot? What does that mean?
Well, so a double pivot, it's just like playing like two sitting midfielders essentially. So playing two sitting midfielders rather than one. So like a single pivot would be like Busquets at Barcelona back in the day when he just kind of sat and you had Iniesta and Xavi in front of him. So yeah,
I think that's an idea for one of our members' videos. What is a double pivot? I think you need to come on and explain in detail. You and Joshua for guys like me and Stevie and others. But
I just call them a 6 or an 8 or a 10. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, it's essentially two kind of more holding midfielders. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, in a nutshell. Interesting. Just going back to the live show, Alan McConnell says, you Mr. Trick guys, many of us, especially those overseas, would pay for a YouTube live ticket. Let me speak to Johnny with regards to that, Alan. I'm not sure if they had plans to do that or if it will be broadcast for a later date. But I'll ask the question and see where we are with regards to that. The players are, of course, in Germany, Charleston, on that pre-season training camp. He says, seen the guys training in Germany. They look fit as anything. I've seen more meat on a butcher's pencil. They do look fit, Stevie. They've been put through their paces over there by all accounts. I've been loving the videos. Enjoyed the video of Todd Cantwell driving about a golf buggy. That was top class. But they certainly look like they're being worked hard over there.
Yeah, first of all, I would say that the media team at Rangers is extremely good. So, Nick, Louise, Andy, Andy Jess, all the guys over there that kind of cover the team are fantastic. And the good thing about it is they're all Rangers supporters, so they know the kind of context. I was laughing at the one where they go around with who's your most famous person on your phone book, and it came to John Lundstrom. And I've seen that look from John Lundstrom before.
Oh yeah, I know you have.
That was quite amusing for me as well. So I enjoyed that. And they do the kind of things that we want to see. So all credit to them for that. But on the fitness thing, I've went on about this now for kind of several months, that I was really looking forward to seeing guys like John Lundstrom, James Tavernier really kick on back towards their kind of best. Because I think we forget that last season, these guys weren't at their best form. And we've got a tendency just to write players off completely. There's no reason, in my opinion, why these guys can't start hitting heights again, and having a super fit pre-season and getting them through that will certainly help. So I'm looking forward to seeing the conditioning and the fitness levels of the guys coming back. By all accounts, last summer didn't quite set them up the way it did before, but with Dr. Waller and things back, I'm much more convinced now that we'll be properly set up for the season ahead. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And nice, kind words from Hugster. He says, great chat again today, guys. Definitely a bullseye. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Enjoyed that. Just a quick word. Denzel got in touch. Some sad news. He says, we lost our old pal Stephen McFadden at the weekend. He was a Ranger to his bootstraps, attending games with the Campbelltown Loyal over decades. R.I.P. my friend. Yeah, we echo that as well, Denzel. Sorry to hear of your loss. Rest in peace, Stephen. From everyone here at the Rangers Review. Right, folks, I think that will do us there. Thanks to everyone for interacting with the show as ever. Huge thanks to Euan and Stevie for joining me this morning. Lots of content on the website right now. You've got a piece on there on John Suter, Euan.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really interesting what he said about pre-season. So this will be his first ever pre-season. This will be his first pre-season for a few years, first full pre-season. He spoke after the Celtic game when he scored last season about how important pre-season was and how difficult it was to kind of get that fitness up to where it should be. I think the centre-back situation at Rangers might be one for a special video another day, but it's not really been looked at too much because you've got Connor Goldson who's out at the moment. So essentially you've got Suter, Davies and Leon King. So I think it's really important that Rangers add to that. And the problem with that as well is that, by all accounts, Davies and King would maybe be allowed to go if the right offer came in this summer. Souttar's got his injury problems. So if you're looking at the centre-back options, it's not great at the moment. I think they definitely need to add there, especially the Champions League games coming up and Goldson looking like he'll be out for them. So I think that's a real area of concern in the pitch at the moment. I think that's the one area where Rangers need to prioritise. But yeah, just looking at Souttar, I think if Souttar stays fit, he's a top player. Whether he can stay fit or not is obviously the big question mark over him. He looked really impressive at stages last season towards the end. Played really well in some games. I think I wrote about it in the piece. It's whenever you want to kind of be optimistic about John, is that kind of dark cloud, which is injuries, and you have to kind of be a little bit cautious. But yeah, the piece looks at that and how important Souttar is going to be, especially with Golds now.
Yeah, absolutely. Might discuss that more in detail tomorrow, the centre-back positions. We need to wrap up just now, folks, though. So thank you for all the interaction as ever. Just a reminder, if you want to sign up to go to the live event on the 28th of July, the link is in the description box. So just give that a click and sign up and buy your tickets. Still some left and available. Okay, we'll be back to talk all things Rangers tomorrow. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bye for now.